Hello, and welcome back to another Rise of Empires video with me, Mr. Gill. Thank you so much for all of your previous views, likes, comments, subscriptions, and all of that jazz. I really appreciate it, guys. We're doing fantastically well. Obviously, I've said before, videos will be a bit slower while I'm in between apartments and slow internet and all that kind of stuff, but I'm working on a few big ones, so we should get something soon. Today, I want to talk a little bit about what I'm going to call, or no, I'm not going to call it. Cool. I needed to know that. We're going to talk about the combat triangle, or the rock paper scissors of the game. Okay, so there are three types of units. You have cavalry, you have footmen, you have archers. Each of these have different attack, defense, HP, so health points, hit points, and what's the word? Not cavalry points. Combat points. And they have different tiers. So there's tiers 1 up until tiers 9, possibly a tier 10 in the future, but we've still not seen that. So basically, the combat triangle is usually something that you see in games like this, is that, rock beats paper, paper beats scissors, scissors beats, rock, etc., etc. And it goes around in a little triangle formation, like a so. Now, I'm going to start by saying that this is something I'm not very good at. This is something I don't really care about. This is something I do not think about. But this is something that obviously I get a lot of questions about. And so it's something that I'm going to say. This video is more about me saying what I think and asking for opinions from higher level players than it is about me telling you how I think it should be done. I'm saying right now I am supremely unconfident. Unconfident? Is that a word? I'm supremely unconfident in my knowledge in this specific area. Do I think it's important? Not really. I don't think that it ever gets to the point where I don't think for most players it's going to get to the point where you need to be very specific about exactly what type of units you're using, because you know exactly who you're fighting and what they're using, that you should worry about the minutiae of a 5-point difference in defense. For the majority of players, by the time you get to that point, by the time you get to that level, you're going to have learned all this stuff yourself. For somebody else who's kind of, maybe raiding a little bit in KE, maybe doing a little bit of stuff in Reign of Chaos, I don't think you need to worry about it that much at all. Now, what exactly are we talking about? So, are cavalry best? Are footmen best? Are archers best? Okay, first thing, I believe cavalry to be the best because they are the fastest and they can carry the most. I am a farmer. I barely raid anybody, and so for me, cavalry work well. I also believe that you can focus by focusing on one type of troop, i.e. by focusing on the stables which train the cavalry, and by focusing on cavalry research, I'm able to get to a higher tier. I was able to get to tier 8 very quickly with my cavalry, instead of trying to get all 3 to tier 8. The other 2 are still tier 7. Are they the strongest? No. So roughly speaking, we're going to be looking, everything we talk about today is looking at tier 7 troops. If you haven't got tier 7, don't worry, just look at the tier 6 information instead, or you can get there in the end. Easiest way to look at anybody's information is to go into the troops here in your military university, and then you can see if you click on each one, they have a little info bit here. So let's have a quick look at each of these. So cavalry first, information. 61 attack, 34 defense, 13 hit points, and 4.9 combat power. I'm not too worried about this stuff here, marching speed or load or food cost, because we're kind of just generally talking about who's going to beat who. Okay, so that's good to look at. Then let's have a look at the footmen. Like so. 46 attack, 53 defense, which is the highest defense. 15 hit points, which is the highest hit points, and 4.9 combat power. That is interesting. That is very interesting. And then we've got the Falconer, or the archers. 73 attack, so this is the highest attack. 34 defense, this is the same level as cavalry defense. 10 hit points, so this is their health. This is the lowest out of all 3, and 4.9 combat power. They all have the same amount of combat power. Now, obviously, what we're not going to think about now is any of the extra research and stuff that I might have done that might have changed all of these things up. We're just going to go on the base tier 7 things. So if we want to look at a basic triangle that way, if we're looking at a basic triangle that way, so archers are the strongest in terms of attacking. Okay, however, footmen have the most defense, if you know what I'm saying. So basically, if we're looking at a basic combat triangle from that position, we're going to go, and I was just writing it down here, and Forpe is giving us some information as well, which is always nice because he's a bit of a raider. Yeah, he's talking about Reign of Chaos now, but that's fine. But if we're going to look at it basically, archers take foot because you're going to need the highest amount of attack in order to take the highest amount of defense. Yeah, so foot has the highest defense, archers have the highest attack. Foot can then take cavalry because... No, they can't. Foot takes cav. Yeah, they can. They can. Foot can take cav because they have they might have the lowest amount of attack, but they do have the highest amount of defense, whereas cavalry have a low amount of defense. So foot takes cav, and then cav takes arch. Now this is a tricky one because most players, and you can see it, Forpe has just said here, most players don't use the footmen. It's only really suitable for, you know, taking out a large amount of archers, is it? Oh wow, another 25, level 25, fantastic. So this is what I said about I'm not too sure. So it's either archer's foot is cav, arch foot cav, or it is going to be how to take out a whole garrison of archers. You could do it with footmen because they're going to have the defense to withstand it, and the archers have such low hit points. Okay. This is a bit of a weird video, I know, but I'm trying to work this out, and I've been trying to think about this for the last couple of days, and I'm not very good at this sort of stuff. It's not my forte, and as I've said before, I don't really care, and I don't think it actually matters. It's never mattered to me because I've never really cared about it. Okay, yeah. So what we're going to say then is, if you're thinking about the combat triangle, and this is something that happens in nearly every one of these games, yeah, and every games have this kind of idea of, you know, this one beats this one, and this one beats that one, and that one can beat that one, and then it kind of goes in a big triangle like that. I'm going to say that for me, the best combat triangle is going to be archers beat foot, foot beat cav, and cav beat archers. I think that can change depending on if you're going to be in a Reign of Chaos and you've got somebody garrisoned in a building, that is definitely going to change it up a little bit. There's also going to be a lot of differences between attacking bases towards attacking tiles. That's going to change things as well. And then, of course, we get into the research, which is going to massively change something. You know, I could have a lot more research in my cavalry, you know, and I think I do. That could be adding 30-40% to my cavalry might or my cavalry resistance. And you don't necessarily know who you're attacking and what they've got as well. On a basic level, I think we'll go with archers, foot, cav as the kind of triangle of combat, or the rock, paper, scissors, if you will. What I would like you guys to do is answer down below. I'd like you to be respectful. I'd like you to not, and I'd like you to be descriptive. In that, if you just say, oh, I'm a tier 9 and my tier 9s beat everybody, then that's no point. You've helped the discussion not one single bit. Also, if you pay enormous amounts of money to have all the best heroes, then, you know, just remember that that's the difference that you will have. We want to talk about as basic as it possibly can be. And using kind of tier 7s as a base, I guess, because that's kind of something where the majority of people can be at, is between tier 6 and tier 7, I think, if you've played for a little while. You know, what is the actual combat trial? So Mr. Gill is saying archers beat foot and foot beat cav, and cav can beat archers. I'm only 50% thinking that's right, but let's have a discussion down below and see what everybody else comes up with. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a little bit of a weird video, but I want to do a few more of these where they're not really, it's not really a question and answer, but it's me kind of trying to put forward a theory or an idea, and people trying to help, and we can all work it out together, so to speak. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers, bye.